is iRacing.
While Oulton Park is much better suited to smaller, slower cars for racing, it will be no less challenging. Our drivers better have prepared well as we get ready for round 3 of the Skip Barber Race Series, and you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing channel. I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is Craig King. Behind the scenes, our director Christian Duploy, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Craig, this track is one of those cases where I love calling the races there, but I'm glad I'm not the one driving.
It's an iconic track, possible of rain, and it's also one of the tracks that the Skip Barbers love due to the slipstreaming. I think I'm in your shoes. Love this track, wouldn't want to be out there today.
Now, since Oulton is a bit of a lesser-known UK circuit, why don't we head on over to learn more with our track guide. Welcome to Oulton Park Circuit. This British track to the southeast of Liverpool is a staple in the UK club racing scene, but has also hosted series as high level as Formula 1 a few times, at least with a small asterisk next to those events since they were non-championship rounds. The history and the lore of the venue is as unique as the layout itself. But that layout is more than just the international circuit this place is known for. An incredible 8 different versions can be run, but they all range between 1.5 to 2.5 miles in length. It's not exactly a long lap around here. What it lacks in that realm, it more than makes up for in bumps and hills. On top of that, Oulton Park offers some very fast corners, so you certainly won't get bored. Turns like Island Bend, Knickerbrook, and Druids can be utterly fearsome depending on which chicanes are at it. But even the slower corners often involve blind crests or kinked entries, making passing a very difficult prospect. In modern day, the place is mainly visited by touring cars, GT cars, motorcycles, and Formula 3. But here on iRacing, it's quite popular with the vintage community. Needless to say, this is a track that carries on the British tradition of fast, old-school style circuits that challenge and thrill drivers. It'll no doubt be a blast for both our competitors and fans today. You can see this track is quite narrow and quite twisty here, Craig, so should be a fun one.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun one. And one of the things I like for the Skip Barbers, last time they were here on a broadcast, there was no chicane, but today we're using Britons and not Hislops. It's the faster chicane, which means it's going to be a nice run up and over the ridge at the hilltop, down into turn 10 at the Knickerbrook corner, which will be a lot of high speed usually, but of course a little bit of rain in the air today, but you've got to get there first of all. And while it does look very nice and twisty, there's also a lot of elevation change. Island Bend is one of the corners that is not flat out, and that's going to catch a lot of drivers off when they come into the cambered Shell Oils corner. So it's all about keeping the balance of the car in check. But of course, Joe, I can tell you how to drive this car in the dry, but they're going to be driving it in the wet today, and that's going to be a whole different kettle of fish, or, well, a pond of fish in this situation.
Yeah, right there inside of Island Bend. Hopefully drivers won't be winding up there because something would have gone massively wrong on that case. We do have a championship in this series as well, and right now it is Vlado Tito who is up on the top. Philip Burke, he is only 3 points behind. This is going to be a tight fight. Jeffrey Randall just a little bit farther back, and he's also got 3 points between himself and 4th place, Jesus Cabal. From there, you get a little bit of separation down to Suaponki, who sees an incredibly close fight, pretty much all the way down to 10th, 5th to 10th, and you've got 8 points between them. So watch out, because this could all change around before today is over, especially as was mentioned with the rain. But let's talk about how today's race is going to go, Craig.
Yeah, well, we are here at round 3 of the season. We're at the quarter mark of the season. It will be 13 lucky or unlucky laps around here for the drivers. Open setup, so use the iRacing baseline, a set you've made, or one that probably the community have provided. And you do get a spare car today because it's D-licensed, so could be helpful with a little bit of a slippery track out here. However, that does mean if we're D-licensed, it's a disqualification at 17 incident points. And again, you factor in the wetness, you factor in this is the draft track here today, Joe. That could be touched by some drivers. Maybe not here in the top split, 6,003 strength of field.
Yeah, it is pretty steep out there with those three splits going on at once. So I can imagine the drivers are going to have their work cut out for them. That is for sure. So as we take a look at, well, what can you see of the circuit because of the haziness? I don't think, actually raining right now from what I can see, but the track is damp out there. So the drivers who are on the same tires that they run, no matter rain or shine, you could see having a little bit of trouble keeping it straightened up.
Yeah, a little bit of trouble keeping it straightened up. The forecast is sunny now. However, 2 hours ago, sim time was absolutely soaking wet no matter where you looked at it. 95% chance of rain. So there has been rain that has come down and dropped on the field. Race time is about a 5% chance of rain. That's why we're not seeing anything now. But this is kind of like last season at Suzuka when they ran the Suzuka with the short layouts. They had to deal with a lot of these issues when it came to a wet track. So they used this a little bit. Find the grip, cool the tires down. You can see that's exactly what Adam Miles is doing. A little bit too wide there, I feel, as we look on board at the roll bar, but you can see him just sliding down. The track looks dry enough, but you'll find some puddles. There's some puddles. They head down to the infamous cascade. I know, Joe, you've had a lot of fun around this corner. No pun intended.
Yeah, that one definitely gone off there a number of times. That is a tricky one to go into. That's, of course, in the Lotus 49, which is kind of a monster version of this car. So hopefully a lot less speed, maybe a little bit air in some places around the track as we watch Miles head down into Shell Oil Corner. We're still waiting on those first laps here in the qualifying to take place, or at least to run through the timing line so you can get an idea of the order. Here's that first chicane you were talking about.
Yeah, and you got to make sure not to hit any of those. Well, they're actually hay bales as we use them in Britain. So if you touch them, 0x can invalidate your lap time, so you've got to be a little bit careful. But it opens up, means that this is a shorter run down into the Knickerbocker corner, and it looks flat. You go do a little bit of a lift to go get ready to go up the hill, but look at the puddles as well. The middle of the track looks dry. It isn't. It's damp. There's no rubbered line here, so you have to be careful. It can catch you out if you're a bit too deceptive. Through Clay Hill, into the water tower, Druids Corner. Look at the slide. We talk a lot about these cars having to slide normally, Joe, but today that rear is really stepping out.
It looks like a handful, which, I mean, it'll make it fun to watch, but could be nightmarish for the drivers, especially just trying to get to the end and stay out of trouble, because this track already has a reputation for causing attrition. Looks like Maximo Weiss is currently on the provisional pole, but we are waiting for Adam Miles to cross the line. And as he does so now, that first lap was deleted. He must have gone too wide somewhere.
Oh, that's unfortunate for him. What about Vlado Tito, who didn't have a very good qualifying last week, as he said himself afterwards, and maybe he's going to look for a very good one this time. A driver that's been on the highlights recently, going to put his car with not a good time. And we talked about this last time you and I did a really good wet race, as we see Diego Ortiz. Some drivers do like to run in the wet, so we may be seeing some rain masters out there, which is a little bit weird thing to say about. Usually it's ring masters, but Diego Ortiz, definitely one of them, representing the Skip Barber colors in, well, also Toyota colors. They're a little bit similar, those designs, but the Toyota, very vivid with the orange and red.
I am a fan of how the Toyota livery looks on a lot of different cars, but definitely looks neat applied here to this machine as Diego coming around towards the Clay Hill Water Tower section, which is going to narrow up on its entry into Druid's double apex right-hander. Hard to get right here, but so critical for the lap because time can certainly be lost through this part. Crest over the exit, and he's right on the limit of grip.
Now he's going to get ready to do the final corner, which of course is large, and it goes a little bit back on yourself. You dip down a little bit, then up in, and that looks a little bit dry around that corner. Raul Rocha's Guardian now going pole, trying to find some time as Diego needs to find some good time because the first laps are usually the cold tires, so you have to get these tires warmed up. 56 flat. It's going to be faster, but it's not going to be fast enough to beat Steph Herman, who's just jumped into pole position. And look how close the timings are right now as Mella is looking to get some time.
Yeah, he hasn't set a lap yet. Adam Miles is just in front of him. He puts down a 1:55.6. but that's only good enough for fourth for Adam Miles. A bit of a shock. Typically, we see him faster than that. Mella goes up into sixth position with that lone lap. With 1 minute left, I think most drivers have now set both of their lap times. I think Philip Burke is one of the few that we're waiting on.
Well, Vlado Tito comes across the line with a 55.6. That puts him up. He just yet passed Jeff Randall with 2,000. Very tight out there today, Joe. A tenth separating the top 6.
The track that I often see lap times in the minute 20s. Interesting to see them as slow as they are here, but that means the grid is now set for race number 3. So we'll head over to our starting grid for today's race, and hopefully they'll be able to get off the line good here shortly, because Steph Herman will start from the front, where he'll hopefully be able to see a bit better over Rosa's Guardia, with Maximo Evans-Weiss starting from third. You've got Adam Miles only in fourth today. Vlado Tito will be P5. Jeff Randall starts from sixth. Jose Luis Mella will be in P7. We've got Diego Ortiz starting from 8th with the number 17 on his car. Well done. Philip Burke starts in 9th, and Terry McGruther rounds out your top 10.
Just a few more drivers. Axel Valero will be in 11th, with Pablo Rodriguez Hoga in 12th. Miguel Quinta Martin will be in the unlucky 13th, with Jesus Cabal 14th. Berto Otero will be 15th. Heike 360, Javier Sanchez 16th today, with Oren Zoma rounding out all 17 cars in the top split.
And they're just about lined up, as it's going to be a standing start. Now, in the real world, these skippies would have done a rolling start, as kind of traditional over here in North America. But since this car has been retired, the community has been allowed to kind of pick how they want to run this. And I do love that they've got these standing starts, as it makes it interesting into the first corner. We're waiting on Ortiz and Burke, but the rest of the 17 are out and ready to go. We have seen at least a little bit of sunshine start to show up, maybe helping to dry up the track, but we'll see whether or not it'll make much of a difference in what is a relatively short race at 13 laps in length. Everybody is now out there, so the engines begin to rev here for round 3 in the Skip Barber Series. The lights are up, and the green flag is out, coming off the line. Immediately off to the left-hand side for Raul. And Mella's got a black flag. He must have jumped the start and gone a little bit too early. It is single file for the top 6 coming into Old Hall.
Yeah, Mella's already gone down the field as well. I wonder if Mella's just decided to get to the back and get there as fast as he can, as everyone else is just going by. So I wonder if he tried to do that. Everyone just slips into single file. A little bit of side-by-side trying to battle with McGruber on to Valero. Valero tried to take the outside line, almost wheel touching there, and this is what we kind of expected to see at the start. Everyone's slotted in nice and carefully, but now you start to see a small slipstream going, as that's Weiss there trying to make the move, and that's the danger of the island bend, is it's oh so treacherous, and he's also now forced Adam Miles to the outside. I think Adam's gonna be happy with this. The Barber Captain Tito.
Contact between Miles and Tito, and now they're coming up to the Britain chicane. Both of them sliding as they enter. They're going to make contact again, and the field is having to scatter to get around them as they've caused a blockage at the apex. This is allowing the top 3 to completely run away, but Miles and Tito have dropped the ball right at the start.
Burks had to tow the car, sorry. Diego Ortiz is trying to go with free wheels, working on him as well. I think Jose Luis as well. He's got a meet, well, that's Mella with the meet for the black flag as well, sorry. So that's a big time mistake there, and it almost looked like Adam Ivory got caught out there for the wet, or we do know, as we look at the replay here, that's definitely a jump start. That's almost looking like you're just getting ready to charge for a drag race there, but that's not what you're doing. Yeah, I know there's some history, Joe. It's friendly history between Miles and Tito, but it did feel a little bit like that was Verstappen Hamilton all of a sudden.
Yeah, I think there's a case to be made for both of them needing to give a little way to help get through the corner, and instead neither did, and they disrupted tons of races as we got a pass for the lead, and Guardia is back to the front of Herman. Maximo watching from behind, makes a little bit of a touch. I don't know if he's trying to bump draft here, but I would not recommend it.
I wouldn't recommend bump drafting in anything that's an open wheel like this. You don't want to damage the wing, because I think you may want any sort of grip you can, or any sort of error you can, as we're on board with the wing camera. Thankfully, the digital wing camera doesn't get held up. But the problem is, at this part of the track, you do get the overspeed with that slipstream. But it's so quick into the island bend from Cascades. And in the weather like this, it's very treacherous there. I'm just looking to see if Adam Myers has come to the pit with that damage on the wing. He hasn't. Mel and McGruver's both come in for fast repairs and serving the black flag. But a lot of drivers very intrigued at that stuff. It allows these three guys on their own right now, three drivers on their own right now, to really go ahead. Joe, like I said, last time we were here, no chicanes. We saw the top 6 just all trading positions. There's only 3 here today. A little bit of a peacemaker, I feel.
Oh, but they're going to go for 2 wide down through Knickerbrook. Again, not something I would recommend, and thankfully they saw that coming. Guardia backed out of it. He's going to try and cover him off with the over-under, and he just about gets his wheels inside coming up to Druids, but I think he's lost the overlap, and so he backs out once again.
Yeah, no point trying to make that move. Maybe it was if it was a dry track. Again, everything's different here in the wet, because if it's on a dry track, there's things you can do, even with the sliding on these cars, but can't really get onto that right now. Let's have a quick look while nothing's going. I think we've got a replay getting ready to line up. We do indeed. And here's the move. And it did feel like this was never going to work. And yeah, I don't know if Vlado turned in, or Adam tried to go a little bit late on the brakes and got caught out by a wet patch, or was just going late on the brakes. But it just felt like 2 into 1, never going to work there.
I'm impressed with the field for keeping that from becoming a bigger wreck, because it's already hard with the rain to see what's going on, and they saw the cars stop to the side, managed to either cut through the chicane or go the long way around. Tito is responded now that he's taken, well, no, he didn't take a spare car. He is actually stayed out there, but he set the fastest lap of the race, sits in 13th. Ortiz and Burke both had to take their spare cars, though.
Yeah, and as you can see on the timing tower, you can see who Tito's right behind. It's Adam Miles. So they're going to keep doing whatever happened there as well. So they're going to have some hard time. Jeff Randall as well, getting past Owen Zomer as well, right before Cascades. Right, that's a very interesting place to make a move there. But Randall gets on by Adam Miles right there. Probably using, a little bit of the card there, just washing out a bit too much over the exit there, the shell oil corner. Does feel like that wing's going to cost him some issues here, a little bit of drag, and that's why he's hoping he can keep in this double toe. The last thing he wants is Vlado to really look for a move.
Yeah, and him stopping to the pits is probably not going to save him enough time repairing that damage. He is defending. Vlado going around the outside. Are we going to get a repeat of lap 1 between the two of them? They'll manage to stay out of each other, but Vlado does not get the position.
No, and I think Vlado's playing it a little bit safe. I wonder if it's just a case of let's just work together here, because they're starting to lose this pack in front of them a little bit. So I do wonder if the game plan right now is to work, because they're also catching up to the rest of the field. Because everybody else in front of these drivers, there's a little bit of a twitch there in the wet, everybody in front of these drivers all went up because they avoided that crash. You look at Martin, you look at Sanchez, both up 9 places, Hogler up 7 places. So if these guys can catch up to those, they could start battling later in this race. I know that sounds crazy at 13 laps and we're on lap 4 right now, but there is time to make up some time. Randall's only 2 seconds away from Otero, so these 4 can catch up to them pretty quickly. Not at the moment, though. They're only matching in lap times.
Ooh, a little bit off there from Miles. That's going to allow Vlado to once again make the attack, and he's fully passed by the time they hit Cascades, so move Tito up into 12th. Next for him is Zomer or Randall. Meanwhile, Maximo and Raul have been trading positions up at the front. In fact, the number 14 currently holds the fastest lap.
Yeah, we're going to have that picture-in-picture as well, as Tito's right there with Miles as well, and the rest of the field in the picture-in-picture. You've got the leaders here, and it's basically the main battles we're looking at. There's a few little groups now of like 3 or 4 cars everywhere, but this is the main group, and you can see you can't see on the lap times. If you look at the lap times, these guys are going faster than most of the drivers. I think Javier Sanchez, the only driver matching the leaders last time by, but nowhere to go. And I didn't realize that Max Emilio there was braking a little bit later, as we've got the other battle going on as well. So you've got all these battles going, And with the wetness, I don't think they can actually go to catch anybody up. But side by side, Maximilio wants this lead. Very brave to do it into Druid, and he does.
Herman slots back into second. Now Guardia into third. We've seen each of these drivers up at the front at certain stages. So this could be anybody's game out here, especially with the rain making the grip a variable. There's not enough cars, I think, that it's going to completely dry it out, but the racetrack will continue to adapt, change, and the drivers will have to adapt, rather.
Picture in picture, you got Adam Miles going for a move on Vlado Tito. Well, he already made the move on Vlado Tito. That was Erwin Zoma as well, as he gets it as well. He did that through the Lodge corner, you know. What's an interesting place to make some moves. So drivers catching us out with overtakes that I don't feel are conventional. But again, a wet track, it's lightly wet. The official terminology that iRacing is giving is lightly wet for this, as now we're on board to see Vlado Tito. I think you just throw the normalities out the window when you're on a track this wet.
Ooh, tries to chop off Miles, does Tito, and he goes off into the grass in the process. That slows his exit. Miles tries to capitalize on it. These two have had so much side-by-side racing today, and some of the scariest corners, including now down through Island Bend, but that gives the insight into Shell Oil from Miles. He should be able to complete this, and he has to get his elbows out as Vlado has to take avoiding action.
And all race, I've seen Miles have that issue at the Shell Oil's corner, just washing out at the very end. And I don't think Vlado realized it, and he was trying and pinch and trying to keep as much as he can. But in front of them, more battles going on as well. This is for 5th and 6th, the best of the rest. If you think the top 3 are all battling at the moment, they're slowly catching. No, Martin was 3/10 faster. Hoglar and Valero were faster as well last time. So they're looking like they are starting to catch, and this could be interesting at the end of the race. It's only 4 seconds now to the top 3. Maybe if they just get some working together, they can catch up. It's going to be very interesting just to see as well, though, because now they're going to be at 55.3. It swings and roundabouts. It's now Vlado Tito, as you see on the timing tower, has got past Adam Miles. So very interesting developments at the back. They're slingshotting while all these drivers are just trying to work together at the front.
Exactly, and that's what I find very curious, because I would have thought that those top 3 would be able to run away with the talent we have up there, as Steph Herman now takes the fastest lap of the race. But last time around, Martin was, let's see, about 3/10 quicker than Guardia. Still cutting away. I think they're going to need bigger chunks than that, though, to run them down in time.
And because this is such a draft fest track, I don't think you're going to see them gaining the time by just battling, because look at it, Joe. Where do you go side by side through this track? Druid, Lodge, okay, fine, but you can't keep that momentum going. We saw Miles with the insane around the outside of Island Bend, but they lost time because of that. And you look at this right now and you think to yourself, okay, are you going to lose time doing this right now? You know, so there's not a lot of places that you can hold it side by side through corners around here, such as the nature of Oulton Park. So I do wonder if they're even going to be able to catch up now to the leaders, even if they do start outpacing them lap-wise.
Yeah, it's going to take big chunks to really be able to try and get to them, I think, as we continue to watch from onboard Guardia, getting a good idea of the spray. Not the worst in the world for visibility, but certainly not helping his situation, because remember, you'd be just a little bit lower in the car from this roll hoop perspective that we've got. He's been very close to the gearbox of that number 5 this whole lap.
But at the same time, he's got a little bit of a gap between Herman and Maximilio, because I do wonder if he's just keeping himself calm out there at the moment. He doesn't need to be too aggressive. Jesus Cabal also trying to make some moves right now. He's got Javier Sanchez in front of him, and Sanchez, I tell you what, I would love to go back on his true. I'd like to go back on anyone's POV, you know, especially if they're a streamer, and just see their reaction through that first lap, because thankfully at Oulton Park, if you run the chicane, you've still got a racetrack, a road to use it as a runoff. That's what most of the drivers did. If you're on something modern, Joe, there'd be barriers up to prevent you doing that. You'd have to run the risk of the grass. So I do think that some of these drivers use that to their advantage to just get away from that. Otherwise, yeah, we'd be watching Javier have a crash more so than trying to avoid and now fight up 9 places into 7th.
Vlado with the fastest lap of the race. Diego Ortiz had a bit of a moment out there. Whoa! And that is some drift car action from him. He did lose a lot of time, as you could see on the exit of what looked like turn 1, but at least he kept it going. Unfortunately, he's still running last.
Yeah, but he's got the Toyota. So he's got the Toyota livery, so I guess he's trying to do Formula Drift, and, you know, he's probably now going to do his second run. Very good to lock that down, though. You could see the rear wheels completely locked down for him, so he was able to fight another day. He already has used that fast repair, so the last thing he wants to do is crash out again. He's just here to make sure he's there for the rest of the race and trying to pick up any positions from anybody else crashing out. So he's hoping drivers like this, I'm not saying they would crash out, he's hoping that these guys will get a bit too close to one another and have a mistake. But you got to think that Hoglar, Martin, they're a little bit experienced not to do that. And while Pablo was close up to Martin, they decided not to do anything. And all of a sudden, as the track now starts to dry up a little bit more, it's not going to be fully dry, but these drivers that couldn't qualify well, they're in the right situation now. Hoglar, Martin, 7 and 8 respectively. Jesus Gabao up 6, Javier Sanchez up 9. Now the track's getting drier. They can really start to just get a little bit more grip in those tires.
And with still 17 cars out on the track, that also helps clear it up a little bit quicker. Cabal is doing his best to challenge Sanchez, but just can't seem to get by. Otero, I thought, would try to pick that up, but he also doesn't get the exit he needs. Look to the inside from Jesus, and then back to duck in behind the number 10 to take the racing line down into Old Hall, as cars were all over the place on the entry there for a second.
They were, and I'll tell you what, remember I was saying how after that incident with Vlado and Adam that, you know, they could work together to try and catch up to these cars. Jeff Randall right there in the back there in the Australian colours has actually, I know he's English, but the kind of Australian colours, he's caught up to them. Now, if Vlado and Adam actually worked with one another to keep up with Jeff, they'd be in this pack right now. But instead, you've got Jeff going through the inside of the island bend, and that's going to be tough for Berto to really make a move as they go to Shell Horner, gets that overtake done, and that is what we call recovery driving, Joe. Up, down, well, down 3 places where he started, had to avoid that big crash, and he's doing just what he needs to do.
Here is Adam Miles in that little bit of wing damage, and I know that probably looks like extremely little to our viewers who haven't tuned in before, but on the Skippies, they don't have much power behind them, Craig, so even that little bit of wing damage can so hurt your top-end speed.
Yeah, I think you're seeing it as well. He's struggling. He did do a 55 flat last time, but most of these drivers are doing 54 5s. Hello. I just saw a moment out there. Javier Sanchez almost just crashed out, and he's had to lose a few positions. Martin is well still battling. But yeah, I think for Adam, it's one of those things, Joe. If he took the fast repair, he'd be in no man's land. But now he's in no man's land with that wing damage, and he's made his bed. He's going to have to sleep in it. And unfortunately, I don't think that's a very comfortable bed.
No, but he is up a number of spots, so I think he made the right choice in this one as we come back to Jeff Randall once again. He got by Sanchez. Now he's looking to get by Cabal. And as they come over Deer Leap, he's got a run. Here is Xavier Sanchez with his big off, and that's what put him back those 2 positions in this group. There goes Randall in a P7.
Good move there by Randall to make that move done. And now he can just push on, but he's 6 seconds behind that other 3 we've been looking at. So 7th might be his limit today, but now he's got to hold it. It's going to be tough on a track and a bunch of drivers like that behind him. But in front, these 3, if they start battling, you never know. Valero overtaking Martin for P4, trying to not go too wide there. You could see as the sunlight hits the track on the helicopter, you can still see that the track is a little bit wet. And this is the problem for these drivers. It's trying to find the grip. Again, like Joe said, these are the same tires they would use in the dry that they would in the wet. So they don't have to worry about the tire choice, but they have to worry about finding that grip. And I think that was a mistake from Axel coming out of Britain's, and he's had to take the defense there, but I think Martin will have the overspeed.
He does. Oh, but they're getting so close to each other. Don't interlock wheels, especially at these speeds. Coming down in such a fast corner, they're given a little bit of space, and poor Hoglar has to check up big time. They're still side by side coming up through Clay Hill, and Valero has a little bit better speed, but he's on the outside on these little kinks that leads in now. He finally is fully beyond him, down through Druids. Will we see the over-under from Miguel? He does get a great exit, but he's balked as he comes off the corner.
He had the speed, but he was unable to get right to the inside there. So he's going to try and go around the outside here of Lodge, but it's never going to work around Lodge. So he's just going to have to accept that there. But that was really good driving there from Axel to look for that move, to make it work. Vlado Tito going up another position as well in the timing tower. Nothing changing for the leaders, and you wonder now, what can Miguel do? Because that was some good racing, and they almost did lock time. But I got Joe, as they're going to go side by side again. You say at these speeds, they're only 150 kilometers an hour. I know that still sounds fast, but compared to some of the other cars we do, when you knock like that, it's a little bit more lethal. But in these open wheelers, with these pencil tires, I say, anything can happen.
Wow, Hoglar just timing that one perfectly, but he's not done. He's into Island Bend, and Valero's going to challenge him on it. Is he going to run out of road? No, he keeps it on the circuit. That'll give him the inside into Shell Oil Bend, and this has been a titanic battle between these three. Valero, once again, gets back up into fourth, and with the number 15 on his car, that's going to be a big deal. I say that, though, Craig. Even with the number 15 on his car out of 17, he has 4,800 iRating.
Yeah, and you look at Maximilio leading at the moment with just 5,000 iRating compared to what we've got. And another good run there from Axel, stopping the power that Pablo would have had with the slipstream and able to make some moves, other moves as well. Jesus Cabal losing out to Javier Sanchez as he's making a little bit of a run now. They're trying to catch up to Jeff. Look how much Jeff's now pulled ahead of them. 7/10 the gap between Randall and those three are Sanchez, Cabal, and Tito, and Otero, who's now caught up to that as well. And you start to wonder, wait, what are they doing? / what is Jeff doing? Because now he's out in clear air. He's really pushing on in this field.
Well, I wonder if Jeff was one of those that started up a little further in front. Yeah, he's down one from where he started. Remember, he was towards the back of this group. I think maybe he lost a lot of spots having to avoid that opening wreck. So he's just been trying to work his way back up to where his pace merits. And now that he's been in clear air, Sanchez, Cabal, they can't keep up.
Oh, I've just seen a mistake from our leader as well. Maximilio's just lost the lead, going too wide. Going through the Old Hall corner. He's going to go side by side through Cascades. That's different battle there. But yeah, we did have a moment out there. I was thinking it was the leaders. I do apologize. It was actually a moment as they still side by side. It was Martin and Valero still going. Everywhere you look, there's groups of three. I do apologize for getting it wrong. But Valero, they are having a fantastic battle out here.
Yeah, that was Hoglar, I think, going way off the circuit for a brief moment, and he's trying not to run into the back of Valero. They'll somehow keep from making contact down through Shell Oil Corner, and hopefully they do the same here into the Britain chicane. Yeah, they're managing to just keep from the checkup, causing any sort of contact. Great exit there from Pablo. He'll pop to the left-hand side. Valero tries to defend. Pablo quickly realizes it's not worth it, and he backs out.
And that all started because, once again, Valero taking too much of the first curve at Britain's, and the car's off the road a little bit. I think he's getting a bit of air, and he just takes all that momentum out of this car. And you know this car's a little bit of a momentum getter. So the moment he loses that speed, he gets up to speed once he's out of Britain's, but everyone else is faster. So Pablo really looking to see if he can make a move out of Britain's, and it's not working for him. And yeah, there's no point trying to go side by side. I think they've lost the lead. But have you seen the timing tower? Jeff Randall's almost on the back of these cars with 2 to go. I'm not saying he can do it. A second and a half. Well, he was almost a second faster last time. So who knows? This is actually doable for Jeff to get a top 5.
Well, they're not the only ones that are fighting, as our leaders have decided they've got enough of a gap. They can try to scrap it out, but Maximo up at the front, he's starting to pull away a little bit. He wants those two to keep fighting for second place. Herman and Guardia, in fact, they're almost going to go too wide. No, Raul decides he's going to slot in behind the yellow number 5.
And now they're going to have some lap traffic in front of them as well. Meanwhile, these drivers are going to keep on going. And Hoglar get past Valero, and Valero's looking to see, is there going to be a space here? You can't go late braking there. We get back to this battle as well. Guardia still going as well. I think we're going to need some picture-in-picture in a minute, and maybe a third picture and a fourth picture, Joe. Battles everywhere you look right now. This is what Oulton Park's so good for.
It has honestly put on a show in most series that have gone here. It might be hard to pass at this track, but with the slipstream these cars get, it provides some real thrillers. Valero currently in that fifth spot behind Hoglar. Is he going to try to time himself?
I wonder if he's going to time it as well, because look as well behind them now. Tito's caught up, Sanchez caught up, Cabal's caught up as well. So a big pack here at the back of this all battling to see who gets P4. So now you've really basically just got two battles in the rest of the field, as they'll come on down one more time, and the leaders are about to start the white flag, and they'll be getting it by. They'll have one lap car in front of them. Is there going to be a move elsewhere? No, there's the lap car pulling off there, and they've got 1 minute and 50 left to go. Here comes the picture-in-picture. It's oh so close, and I do wonder if there's going to be any shot there. The over-under from Guardia might be working, but he'll have to do it around the outside of Cascade, and I do wonder if he's got the momentum. I don't think Maximo's going to fight this. He is. Into the wet stuff goes Guardia. He can't hold this around the outside. He just tries to, but to no avail.
That was close stuff. Raul on the limit of grip there coming into the corner. He's going to try it again down around Island Bend. He gives a lot of room. That's too much room, and he's off into the grass. That could be his race, or hopes for the win, done, as Maximo is now your leader once again. Steph Herman behind him, and Raul, or Pablo Hoglar, is going to do a very similar move going around the outside, but he avoids going too far into the grass. As now, look at how this battle has built up with even more cars involved.
Tito side by side with the inside into Britain's on Jeff Rando, and I think Jeff will just have to yield this as best as he can, and he does. They'll keep on with the momentum. Guardia is trying to catch. I think Jeff almost hit the barrier there. Lucky enough not to. The leaders, nothing happening as well. Diego Ortiz still with some damage out there as well. Just a few more corners for the leaders, and these guys are going to go side by side. Very interesting. No one makes a move. Just a few more corners for the leaders, though, until the end.
And I think Steph Herman is still within range that he could try something. Guardia has definitely fallen off, as you can see in the picture-in-picture in the upper right. It is Valero trying to keep that third place in his hands, but he's clearly under attack coming to the last few corners here. Herman not quite close enough to go for it, and I don't think there's enough of a slipstream before the finish line, as tight as it is. A defense to the inside, and just barely coming out with the win is Maximo Weiss. By just under 1/10 of a second over Herman.
And they're almost free wide here at the very end. Valero's going to hold on to this P5. It's going to be close at the line, but it is too short of a run. And I tell you what, Hoglar there tried to even just force his nose in. Look at the gap between all of these drivers at the end as Adam Miles will come across. I'm just looking at the timing here. It was 0.078 between Valero and Martin, 0.067 between Martin and Hoglar, 0.097 between Hoglar and Tito.
It was the enemy at the gates there for Valero. So many cars right there with him, trying to take that away. That we had, gosh, it looks like 1, 2, 3, 4 cars within 0.3 of a second crossing the line.
Yeah, actually really close there. And of course, like you were saying, Joe, it's not a real, despite it's a bit of an uphill run, it's not a good sprint to the line here. So you have to make the move done before Lodge corner to really look to get it going. As Philip Burke, he knows he's the last car out. He's going to get this cut, got to get back. Not been the best of days for Philip. Had to take that repair at the start of the race. And what could have been, and he was up there. A lot of drivers really feeling what could have been had they made it.
Yes, but I do love the sportsmanship here. I know enough Spanish to see Alex saying, Buena, Miguel y Pablo. I think he enjoyed that battle. With Maximo Weiss was your winner. Steph Herman was in second, less than 1/10 behind him. Raul Guardia missing out with that off track right at the very end. He'll have to settle for third. Alex Valero holding off all comers to take fourth, with Miguel Martin in fifth. Pablo Hoglar 6th, and Vlado Tito, what a recovery, up to 7th. Jeff Randall has to settle for 8th. Xavier Sanchez with 9th, and Jesus Cabal, he rounds out the top 10.
More drivers with the sportsmanship as well, but also into 11th. Otero will go up into 4, and then in 12th, Adam Miles drops into 12th. They're down 8 positions and loses his 10K license as well. Aaron Zoma will be 13th, and then the drivers that had to take those pit lane. Mello was actually a drive-through for a jump start. McGruver took a fast repair in 15th. Philip Burke had to take some long time in the pit to get the repairs done. Diego Ortiz crashed again, unfortunately. The only driver off the lead lap.
Ooh, what a crazy race we had out there. We're still waiting to see if anybody has the energy to come and chat with us. But yeah, I mean, the typical British weather seems to have given us an insane amount of fun out there. I do hope we get some more rain races on Oulton Park eventually.
I'm not gonna lie. After the highlights in the wet that have been shown from the Skip Barbers and other series in the wet, you'd think to yourself, wet racing, fantastic. And you can see in the slower stuff, what a race it delivered out here. It just allows the drivers to go a little bit more. Yes, we'd like to see it in the rain, Joe. I think you and I would both like to see it in the rain, but this idea of raining before and then you have to deal with a slick track, really like it, because it's not just the wetness, it's finding the grip out there, and that's a real nice change up there. Some of the drivers, I think, if you want to give wet racing a go, give this sort of rain a go first before you get yourself soaking wet in the open cockpit.
Agreed. Now, before we get to some of the interviews, we want to mention our next race, which is going to be quite different as we're going to Misano on April 9th. So it should be fun to see the drivers try to tackle a more modern circuit, which has, I think, a few more opportunities to try and overtake. That Italian track definitely has put on some great shows since it has joined the iRacing service a few years ago. And again, that'll be a week from now at 2 p.m. Eastern when that one comes on. So looking forward to them taking just a little bit to the south here from the UK when we do that one. But in the meantime, I don't see anybody joining us yet, so we may have to close this one out. And of course, we do want to give a big thank you to the community for bringing us back for another season of coverage, as well as to the team today, Craig, Christian, and Dougie. Make sure and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss a moment here on GSRC. Up next, we also have the Grand Prix Legends going to Brands Hatch. That is always worth tuning into, so definitely recommend hopping over there on Saturday. But until next time, race clean, race hard. We'll see you on the track.
This is iRacing.